Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Olumide Macaulay. On the program today, residents of Akure in Ondo State protest removal of Itayo Jegede as the People's Democratic Party candidate for the upcoming governorship election. Federal government pledges to block all revenue leakages at the nation's seaports. And wife of Nigeria's President Aisha Buhari gives succor to hundreds of returnees in Borno State. We start in the southwest. Some residents of Akure, the Ondo State capital, have taken to the streets in protest of the removal of the Itayo Jegede of the People's Democratic Party for the upcoming governorship election. The electoral umpire published the list of candidates on its website yesterday, barely 1 month to the polls. In that list, Mr. Jimo Ibrahim was listed as the candidate of the PDP. It will be recalled that the two factions, led by Senator Ahmed Makarfi and that of Senator Ali Modu Sharif, have been embroiled in a legal battle, asking INEC to recognize each their candidates. Oluwarotimi Akeredolu is the flag bearer of the All Progressives Congress, while Mr. Olushola Oke is the candidate for the Alliance for Democracy. Meanwhile, Governor Olusegun Mimiko has met with the president seeking his intervention to prevent a breakdown of law and order in Ondo State. The governor has faulted INEC for listing Mr. Jimo Ibrahim as the PDP's candidate for the forthcoming governorship election. He says INEC's decision is an act of injustice to the people.
So we see this action of INEC as potentially dangerous. It can cause conflagration in the state, and that is why, as the Chief Security Officer of the state, I have come to alert Mr. President of the potential danger of this injustice so that we can nip it at the bud. I've been up and running, I've been on phone to major stakeholders to ensure that they keep the peace in the state. What you have seen, the extent of the demonstration or the protest you have seen has been mellowed by our continuous intervention to ensure that there will not be a breach of the peace. For them, it's just a jolt from the blues. And I have assured them that this injustice will not stay. It will not stay. Mr. President has promised to look into it, and that if there was any patent injustice, that is given assurance that it will be rectified.
Olusegun Mimiko, Governor Ondo State. Staying with this story now, the Ali Modu Sharif faction of the PDP in Ondo State has described INEC's choice of Mr. Jimo Ibrahim as the party's candidate as a justification of the truth and recognition of the people's will as demonstrated in the party's primaries. Spokesperson of the faction, Mr. Shola Akinuli, commended INEC for adhering to the rule of law in spite of pressure from some politicians. He also commended Justice Okonabang for his display of uncommon courage. According to him, he called on supporters of the party not to violate the rule of law in spite of attempts to provoke violence in the state. Now, away from Ondo State to the south-south part of the country, troops of the Joint Task Force codenamed Operation Delta Safe have arrested 44 suspected members of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra group in Bayelsa State. The coordinator of the Joint Media Campaign Center revealed that troops of Sector 2, Operation Delta Safe, made the arrest while acting on intelligence reports. The troops trailed a group of people which led to the arrest of the suspects at the Lakeview Club along Mabington Estate, Okoka Road in Yenagoa, the capital of the state. Lieutenant Colonel Dauda adds that the arrest is in fulfillment of the troops' mandate to rid the region of crude oil theft, sea robbery, and protect oil and gas installations. The federal government is working hard to block all the leakages in the nation's ports. The managing director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Hadiza Usman, made this remark when she visited the ports in Port Harcourt in Rivers State.
It's a first official visit to the seaport in Ondo, Rivers State. The managing director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Hadiza Usman, meets with the leadership of the port on an operational assessment. After getting a heads up to the challenges and operations of the port, the MD moves to see things for herself. She outlined some of the new plans for the port.
We are looking at plugging all revenue leakages. One of the important things we're doing at Ondo Port is to ensure that all revenues raised for the federal government are transferred straight into the consolidated revenue accounts. We've noted the need to ensure compliance with the Treasury single accounts as it relates to service boat collection. We're implementing that. We have our standard operations procedure to ensure that all collection agents that are collecting revenue on behalf of the federal government pay such monies directly to the government, and any payments due these agents will then be computed and paid to them.
Sitting on a land area of over 2,539 hectares and still expanding, Ondo Port is home to the nation's oil and gas free zone.
With the promulgation of Decree number 8 of March 1996 under the late General Sani Abacha, there were only 8 different companies that were licensed to operate within the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority. Today, as we speak, there are well up to 200 different companies operating within the port.
At the end of the tour, the NPA boss explains to journalists why the existing lease and concession agreements with the operators need to be reviewed.
The port manager and the operations here are very tidy. We have seen deployment of infrastructure efficiently and effectively. I have concerns about the lease agreements that NPA has entered into. Some of the lease agreements are not enabling the lessees take possession of their premise. They have not taken possession of the land, so they're not making any payments to the authority.
The shortfall of revenues due to dwindling crude oil prices and militancy in the Niger Delta, experts believe ensuring accountability in the operations of the seaports in the country is vital. Emmanuel Erei, Channels Television News.
Also in the maritime sector, as part of efforts to take full advantage of its huge maritime resources, the Cross River State government has announced plans to float a state-owned shipping line that will service countries along the same coastal line bordering it. The state governor, Professor Ben Ayade, told 21 indigenous merchant navy maritime students who are visiting the state from the Philippines that Cross River now has well-trained maritime experts that will see to the creation of maritime services departments in the state.
To be a courtesy call on you. Permit me, Your Excellency, to be.
Now we are going to create one new office in my office, directly responsible and reporting to the governor, to provide an up-to-date program to ensuring that you get to the peak of your chosen career. A lot of them, some of them read nautical sciences, some marine engineering, some read marine architecture. So we have a broad spectrum of cross-rivers who are ready to take the cross-river shipping line to a national level. So we are decoupling from federal government and focusing on the state shipping line as a result of the expertise that we have acquired today. Cross River State is not going to send you on training and leave you abashed. So all the skills you have acquired, let's put them to optimal use. And that's why even in Cross River State, we also look at my 27 budget in 2017 that is coming. There's a massive provision for us to provide for wharf landing and wharf support services. So you're going to also have a fabrication yard, which will require a lot of underwater operations, but where you have your expertise.
Professor Ben Ayade, Governor, Cross River State. You're watching News Across Nigeria. This is the 2016 Cyber Awareness Month. We'll tell you what that means for the Nigerian states. Stay with us.